Even though animals know well enough to survive in nature on their own, they end up in sticky situations at times where they just might need an extra hand. Whether it's calling reinforcements to deal with predators twice their size or asking someone to help them cross the road, animals have asked us for all sorts of help. In today's video, we're going to be sharing a few stories where animals and humans ended up being friends. So, grab your tissue box. Number 8. Mama Squirrel calls for reinforcements. Michael was making his way through the woods one fine evening when he was approached by the most unsuspecting of victims. It was a tiny squirrel. Approach might be the wrong word because the squirrel jumped out of a tree and ran towards Michael with a sense of urgency. And it wasn't for a picture or even some food, even though that's what most people might assume from their constant circling, which we might add isn't normal behavior for a squirrel. They are shy creatures who like to keep their distance from other humans. So why was a squirrel circling Michael? The seemingly distressed furball wanted to get the man's attention, but not for herself. She wanted him to tend to her baby squirrel, who was in big trouble. The mama squirrel jumped at Michael's feet and led him to a huge oak tree. There he found the baby in question, with his legs injured. Worst of all, a cat was hiding in the bushes, probably hoping to score some dinner. That's when the pieces came together for Michael. The cat had obviously attacked the two squirrels, and the mother squirrel had been able to fend off the great predator, but not without her baby getting injured in the process. This was when she decided to call in for reinforcements. A smart move that might have just saved both of their lives. Number 7. A sloth crosses the road. Nature hasn't been kind to sloths. After all, they say, slow as a sloth for a reason. These creatures have an extremely low metabolic rate, which explains their sluggish pace. Believe it or not, sloths only manage about 41 yards a day. With that said, it's no surprise that these slow creatures need a hand or two at times. One such situation arose in Rio de Janeiro when a lost sloth found himself crossing the road in the middle of the day. Given a sloth's average speed, it's understandable why making it to the other side would have taken a painstakingly long time. However, to make matters worse, it was rush hour, but not everyone stuck in traffic was in a bad mood. There happened to be an animal lover who didn't waste a second in getting out of his car and helping the animal get to the safe haven of its tree on the other side of the road. Before parting ways, the man waved goodbye to his furry friend. And guess what? So did the sloth. Number 6. The swan swims again. Swans aren't the most friendly of creatures. The chances of you getting chased by one are higher than you think. So the story of one approaching a human for help sounds too good to be true, which is why it's a good thing that Richard Weesey happened to record the entire thing. The incident, after all, did take place while he was recording for his show, Born to Explore. He was at the UK's Abbotsbury Swanery where he noticed an injured swan. Apparently, the poor bird has flown directly into a chain-link fence and hurt himself. Obviously, Richard couldn't just leave the animal there. He swooped it up in his arms, and guess what? The swan didn't resist at all. In fact, the distressed bird seemed to be a little relieved at being rescued. Richard was able to get the swan the help he needed, and it was back to flapping its wings for him. Years later, when Richard returned to the swanery, he was approached by the same swan, totally healthy this time though. What the swan did next shocked everyone. He seemed to be embracing Richard as if thanking him for his help all those years ago. Now that's not something you see every day. Number 5. A pup finds a new home. There's hardly a person in the world who could say no to a puppy, which is why when this woman saw a distressed canine stuck in a chain on the side of a road, she didn't waste a second in stopping her car and helping out the poor pup. She eventually ended up taking him in and nursing him back to health. She knew from the moment the dog sat down in the passenger seat that this was going to turn into something more. And if that wasn't enough proof of her kindness, here's more. The woman kept on crying the entire car ride, patting the dog who had obviously suffered so much. And surprisingly, the pup reciprocated the emotions right back. He knew he had been granted a new life. And so he kept placing his paw on her arm and hand as if it was to comfort her and at the same time thank her for saving him when she did. Number 4. An elephant asks for help. None of us can imagine the pain of being shot, that is, until you've been shot yourself. Unfortunately, this unlucky elephant not only ended up being shot at the hand of poachers, but was forced to carry the bullet for who knows how long. When things got really bad, this elephant had no choice but to approach a doctor. Lucky for him, one was making his way through the forest. It wasn't hard to see why the elephant needed help. The bullet lodged in his skull told the whole story. Vets then proceeded to tranquilize the elephant and laid him down for an x-ray, which to no one's surprise, revealed a deformed bullet. It seems like the poachers missed their shots as the bullet was a few centimeters away from the kill shot. Surprisingly, the elephant remained calm during the treatment. He let the experts do their work, believing that they know what's best. Fortunately, that trust paid off because soon, the elephant was walking around bullet-free. He was so tired from being in constant pain that at the first moment of relief, he simply fell asleep. Number 3. Turtle saved from the jaws of death. Saving an animal from disease or disaster is somewhat doable, but saving one from the jaws of death? Now that's heroism. Kai's servants and his friends were sailing off the coast of Apco one fine afternoon when they noticed a shark chasing a turtle through the water. In a series of jaw-dropping events, the shark grabs a hold of the turtle's back limbs, locking on with its razor-sharp teeth. The turtle, desperate to break free, starts to climb onto Kai's small boat. Any other person would have been scared and possibly scurried away, but not Kai or his friend. They helped pull the turtle out of the water and drive him away, far away from the predator. Once in safe waters, Kai released the turtle back into the water, who was more than happy to not turn into fish food that day. Number 2. No frozen icicles. Darren Wally, Mark Wellington, Byron Hulbeck, and Jordan Hay, all loggers, were out and about on their morning routes when something unsuspected happened. Wally radioed in, alerting everyone about the moose stuck in the water. Mind you, this was right around winter, and the water was freezing cold. Apparently, the moose had been in the 5-meter deep water hole for about a few hours. The men quickly geared up to get him out. They dug him a narrow channel to the nearby river and ushered him along with wooden long poles. It wasn't long before she was able to make the splash of freedom. The moose was lucky the men found her when they did because there was a calf waiting for his mama to come home. Number 1. Lifeguard on duty. Chipmunks are meant to climb trees, not swim in the water. So when this furball found himself drowning in the pool of someone's backyard, he had no choice but to ask for help. Luckily, his cries were heard by the owner, Barbara Day, who just happened to be staring out of her window on that fateful morning. She saw the little creature struggling in the water and was thankfully quick on her feet. She immediately rushed to his aid with a little skimmer. Much to her shock, the chipmunk wasn't breathing at that moment, but with some well-timed CPR, Barbara was able to bring him back from the other side. And not long after enjoying the warmth of a baby blue towel, he was back to his chipmunk ways. Alright, which of these stories made you tear up the most? Did you have your own animal rescue stories that you want to share? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Trend Joint, and we'll see you in the next one.